business is to approve the minutes from the April 24th meeting that we've had. I'll need a motion to approve those as reported.
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Does anybody have any questions or discussion on those? Hearing none. Commissioner Allen?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Very good. Okay. We have no business involving guests tonight, so we'll go right into the chairman's report. Two quick items. May 21st through the 27th is National Emergency Medical Services Week. I'd ask that you join me in recognizing the life-saving efforts of our Madison County EMS practitioners. Our EMS staff responds to approximately 4,500 calls per year, easing suffering and frequently making the difference between life and death. So if you see these folks, if you have occasion to visit with them or whatever, let them know how you feel about the job they're doing. I appreciate their service. I also just learned, I'm sorry, it is true though, right?
It is true, yes, sir.
I would like to offer my appreciation and congratulations to Commissioner Bettis. She was selected as the Calvert Elementary School Teacher of the Year. So, that is excellent.
Ready got the Russians.
Okay, I just got a couple of real quick updates as far as the chairman's report. The biggest thing that we got going on in the county right now, we're working on a number of different things, but the biggest thing as it approaches is our budget session. And I'm working and I'm meeting with all the departments, and we're getting through most of those. I'll be meeting with the sheriff's office tomorrow, and we appear to be on schedule for May 31st is the date that we had tentatively planned. If everybody's still good with that, we'll have an announcement and certainly make that open to the public. This past week, Sandra Webb, the department head at the transfer station, was able to secure a grant, a tire amnesty grant, $10,000. It'll allow us for a couple of days to be able to take, if you got any discarded tires or if there's any that you've been waiting to get rid of, we appreciate if you would throw them on the side of the road. Just bring it on down there. There won't be any charge or any cost for that. Again, $10,000 gets us about 8 tractor trailer loads at the state expense. EPD has made that available. I also worked this past week with Alan Lipsinski, our road department leader. He's done an excellent job as far as he put me on to some folks at the Georgia Department of Transportation, and they've got some money out there, and I made mention of it a few weeks back. They told us originally there was about $1 million that was going to be split up between 3 counties, and told us to, apply for it. It's kind of a nebulous request, but if any of you have ever tried to write a grant or anything, you can appreciate that is not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
This doesn't concern the make money, does it?
It does not. This is separate. This is completely separate from that. It is unmatched, though. The county has no match in this money. So, as it turns out, we provided, and I'll share with you, we had to provide them specific projects, and I do want to point out, we had to prioritize them, and they had to be safety related. There was a number of constraints and everything, but we feel confident, we feel very positive about the award on this, and we should know here very shortly, should be in the range of somewhere between now $300,000 and $500,000. So, we requested the widening of Jones Chapel, Shiloh Road, because that's something that would have to be done if we ever surface that. And if this can be done, that's a price tag of about $300,000. So, if we can get any of that without having to, take them out of pocket, so to speak, from the county's money, that's a huge benefit, so. More to follow on that. We're also working now with the rec department, something that seemed too far to really consider, but hopefully we're going to be able to do something with it, is we have the gymnasium behind our building here. It used to be the old Danielsville Elementary gym, probably a high school gym years before that. We have potential donors in the community that want to build a new gym for the county. And at a cost of about $2.5 million, that's a fairly significant expenditure for Madison County. I spoke with folks at the Oconee River Conservation Service. A gentleman named Steve Smith, and he's agreed to help try to get matching funds for that. So out of $2.5 million, we may. It's hopeful at this point, but there's reason to think that that's within reach.
It's something that's needed.
It is, and it's again something I didn't really offer a whole lot of consideration. As much as I thought it was a very worthwhile thing, I got to share with you though it seems a little bit closer right now than it was 3 or 4 months ago for sure. And then lastly, we're working an EMA mitigation grant. We had to go out for bid because of the threshold on that, and I'm just waiting on the bids to come back in, and we'll update that as we get the bids back in. All right. At this time, what we'll do is we'll open up a public hearing for actions on rezoning matters, and I'm going to ask at this time Mr. Lamar Houston, if you want to go ahead and present that first one, sir.
Okay.
And welcome, by the way.
Thanks, Commissioners. We have 3 rezone requests this evening and 1 zoning amendment presented to you for your approval. The first one is concerns Athens Cellular. They're requesting that Sandra Smith's 12.73 acre property be rezoned from A2 to A1 with a conditional use for a cell tower. The property is located on map 106, parcel 66 on Highway 72 in District 5. And the applicant is here if you have questions.
On the vote. The vote and recommendation.
Your vote?
For planning and zone, I knew there was something I had. There was a vote of 6-0 recommended approval of the request.
Okay, and before you sit down, Mr. Houston, there might be a question here.
Yes, sir.
I know we had discussed this and everything, and I don't know that I have any issue, but I know there was some discussion regarding. I'll ask. I think Commissioner Allen had the.
Yeah, well, when I went researching this, I was wondering why we had to rezone it. It's because we don't have a. Mike, you can correct me, but it's because that conditional use is only in an A1
Correct, sir.
designation. And so I just wanted to bring up the fact that it would be really nice if we, in the A2, because you want those cell towers, you would think in a rural, kind of, that's where they need them most of all too. But I was thinking maybe we could, in the future, going forward, if we could amend that A2 to where we could include that as a conditional use as in A2 as well.
I think it is A2.
A1.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't have to be rezoned.
Right, so we wouldn't have to
I
rezone, so we
got
could
you
do a
now.
conditional.
I understand.
So they could basically come get a conditional use permit, and we'd have to go through all the rezoning and stuff like that. This is surrounded by A1 and RR, so it's not that big of a deal. I don't really like A1 over 5 acres, under a certain amount personally, but our code doesn't reflect that. And so it meets all the, in my opinion, meets all the requirements. But going forward, if you guys on the P&Z board could
It's something we can discuss.
that too,
And I am going to be getting with y'all as we look at, some of the zoning ordinances. That was one of the things that we had asked for time to look at, and as part of our, and I hate to use the moratorium word, but one of the real reasons to justify doing that, though, is to put, if there's anything meaningful that needs to be changed or updated in that,
Yes, sir.
that's the type of thing, too, that we want to look at.
Yes, sir.
All right, and say nothing on that. Any other
Well,
questions?
I was going to speak about it later, but he said exactly what I was going to speak about. I don't see the point. Who set the rule that A1 industrial and B is the only place that sell house can go. Who said that, right? Was that state, Mike?
Oh, no, that was something that came through the process.
I don't have a problem with the cow, y'all, so don't tell me. But I do have a problem with zoning at A1 when it could be done in A2, right where it's at, without a reason.
No, I agree. So it's, and again, you know, that's the item if, and I believe this is 12, what was it, 12.73 acres. And, you know, if this had been a month from now, maybe there would have been a provision for that. And that's the case right now either. I don't know if,
This brings
We're going to vote on this, Mike, and refuse this. We vote on this, can we make a stipulation that sales house will be the only thing used under the A1 zoning? Because it could be anything after you zone A1.
I suppose you could. I mean, you have pretty broad latitude on conditions. I was thinking of something else. If you did a text amendment like the chairman's talking about to make it a conditional use in A2, you could always come back right after that and zone this property back from A1 to A2 with a conditional use there.
Owner's consent.
Even without the, you don't need the owner's consent to zone property.
I think.
You can do that anytime.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because you have a lot of stuff that's, you know, they got to choose back in the 70s what they wanted, or when zoning came up in the 90s, I guess, they were already built. And so when zoning came up in the 90s, they could just choose whatever they wanted to. So you have all kinds of stuff that, you know, you got subdivisions, they're all A1, and there's not a lot above 4 acres. And stuff like that, you know.
Well, what I'm saying is, we're not just going out there rezoning it, unless the property owner comes and wants to rezone. I haven't seen it do that.
no, that wouldn't be my preference to do that.
But you can.
But you're saying, if we approve this tonight for A1, that we can get this, what are you talking about?
It's text amendment.
Text amendment, and then go back and,
And you can zone it back to A2. And you're right, typically you don't initiate a rezone without the owner wanting it done. I suspect in this case the owner would. I would think the only reason the owner's doing it now is for the cell tower.
well, they do it, but it's required, though.
Yeah, and they would have no objection to putting it back afterwards. And they'd rather you initiate it so they don't have to pay the application fee.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So that would be done just administratively, not,
Oh, no, it would require, you know, you'd have to come through the whole process. So we'll have 2 more processes to come through, the text amendment and then zoning the property back to A2.
But they wouldn't have to fill out an application on the rezone. We would actually just
It'd be a board initiated rezone.
say, sorry, take it.
got it.
All right. Well, at this time, we'll entertain a motion regarding rezoning this property.
We got some for and against and all that.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna ask my question.
You're trying to get through.
Exactly, I was just checking to see if everybody on the same page.
Everybody wants.
Okay, all right, so considering this requested rezoning from A2 to A1, is there anybody here that would like to speak in favor of that? And I apologize for almost cutting you out of the equation.
Oh, that's okay. My name is Vincent Neal and I represent Verizon Wireless. I can answer any questions you have. It's a coverage site to fill a gap in coverage that exists along Highway 72 and in the southern part of the county. We looked for other alternative locations. We couldn't find any, and this is the only way that we could fill the gap in coverage and capacity. Tried to make it as nondescript as possible. It's a monopole tower. It's not a lattice tower, one with guy wires or anything like that, and it's limited in height. It's not lit. And once it's constructed, it'll be visited maybe once a month for maintenance, and so it won't increase any burdens on the resources of the county.
Will you sell space on that?
It's available for 4 potential users, and the owner can lease those spaces.
You guys doing anything with small cells yet?
Verizon is working on that,
Okay.
and it is. I've been involved a little bit on that too.
That could change the whole game for rural America.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, the small cells,
And
and
also-
this new air gig technology they've come out with.
And the pole attachments, which are attached to utility
That's a big
poles.
deal, yeah.
is a huge deal. It's getting the utilities to,
Yeah, I'm trying to get
Be
AT&T to
reasonable.
come to the Sanford community and put some, air digging through there. I know my good.
but it's a wonderful technology. It's unobtrusive generally if the proponent is a good neighbor, and if the covenants that are drafted are good, and make sure that they're restricted enough to make sure that it's not burdensome for the community.
The big thing now is all about right of way.
Right. That's the key.
EMCs and Georgia Powers, they want money for their poles.
Correct.
Are you Mr. Needham?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna circle that right there. You couldn't speak for the, property owners?
Unfortunately, no. They gave me the authority to apply under the ordinance as it exists. I could send word back through the chain to that owner.
Well, we can do it.
Okay.
Like he said,
If you have any questions, you guys have.
Hey, just, what height does that have to be lighted?
Oh, over 200 feet, it's required by the FAA.
Right.
Otherwise, there are some instances where the FAA could require where it's less than 200.
Okay,
But
I
it's
just want,
not-
if you,
but no light,
it's at 180, right?
no light is required on this tower.
Okay, all right. Any other questions for Mr. Nealon? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is there anybody else here that would like to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anybody here tonight that would like to speak in opposition to this rezone? And we'll go back and, Mr. Nealon, you get the final word if there's any last comment, if you wanted to say anything.
I have nothing else to add. Thank you.
All right, very well.
Check.
That'd be Mr. Strickland back there, by the way. All right, if there's no other discussion, then what we'll do is we will close the public hearing on that, and we'll come back and we'll, now the first time we'll consider a motion for the rezone from A2 to A1 of this 12.73 acres.
and also conditional use.
And conditional use for the cell tower.
I make a motion that we approve this rezone for the conditional use. Do I need to put anything back? What we're gonna do later? Okay.
As soon as the provision's in place, if we do that, then we can come back and revisit it here. Okay, I have a motion to approve the A2 to A1 rezone and a conditional use for the cell tower. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any other discussion on this item? All right, hearing none. Commissioner Strickland?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Very well, Mr. Houston, item number 2, please, sir.
Okay, the second and third items here are adjoining properties where they'll be building a subdivision. The Planning and Zoning Board took these up as one vote. And, see how the board wants to go with this.
Excellent.
What was the P&Z vote on that?
The vote on that was 6-0, recommended approval. It's for Reliance Homes is requesting that a 54.5 acre parcel and the adjoining 17.23 acre parcel be rezoned from A1 to R1 to be combined for a major subdivision. This property is located on map 32, parcel 62A off of Piedmont Road in District 3. And the vote was 6-0 for recommended approval for this request.
Okay, any questions? Thank you, sir. All right, at this point, is there anybody here tonight that would like to speak in favor of this rezone from A1 to R1? Yes, sir.
My name's Ned Butler. I'm representative of Reliant Homes. So I'm here to answer any questions, but just given our success we've had in Bryce Landing subdivision in Hull, Georgia, we're looking to take the same exact product that you've seen in the package provided and move that over to Piedmont Road. We feel that the property lays in the future land use maps for the future intended use of that property, and we think we're adding value to the tax digest in the community here with the property, the product that we've delivered, so.
Do you do anything, do you do anything around the property on the outside, fencing, vegetation buffers, anything like that?
We will leave a tree-safe buffer. It's not one denoted on our plan, but, I mean, our homeowners want privacy in their backyard, so we try to leave as much as we can, looking at the front setbacks, and then you'll have rear setbacks too, that we can't place a house within that as well.
And you said that, I think, when I was at the P&Z board, you said you were, and I got this today, proposed home would be a minimum of 1,600 square foot.
We're asking for 1,600 square foot for 1-story, 1,800 square foot for 2-story, which is the same guidelines at Bryce Landing. We have 2 plans that fit on those minimums. Everything else is 2,000 square feet and up. And the bulk of our house plans that we bought, many of them are pre-sales in Bryce Landing, have all been the larger house plans. We like to have the smaller in case we have a retired couple or somebody that just needs a smaller lot. Or, you know, if you don't have a lot of usable soils, you can't put a lot of bedrooms on there.
In Bryce Landing, that I've checked up on, there's not very many that are
The minimum.
I think, yeah, there's really not. They're mostly 17 and up, kind of,
Yeah,
you know. So
the first 2 that we built in there, I think were 1,800 square feet, and they sat vacant for about 10 months, and we came in with a bigger product, and they started selling.
Gotcha.
Remember county water?
Yes, there's county water on the Piedmont Road.
Cross base or slab, how are they?
Be mostly slab.
Mostly slab?
Yeah, it's a pretty flat topo.
Roof pitch, minimums?
Yes.
512, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Brick and hardy?
Brick and hardy, yes, sir.
Any other questions for him?
Just a comment, it's been very nice to get all the information you sent us. I sure do appreciate that.
You're welcome.
It's been way more than, I've only dealt with a couple of these, so it's been way more than that. And so it's nice to have all that info. I appreciate it.
And I will say that concept plan that you've seen, we've run various different ones, and a lot of it will be determined based on the level 3 soil studies when we get that back as to where we do have the best usable soils.
You have a certain amount of house plans that they build from, or they can come in and build whatever they want, or you're trying to keep a theme?
We keep a theme. We can, we'll see, 1, 2, 4, 6. We have 8 house plans that we offer in Bryce Landing, and that's what we're going to carry.
Kind of craftsman look?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It'll be a mixture of stone, rock, hardy, and that cement shake, cedar-looking shake product on the front.
Anything else, Mr. Butler?
I think I know 5 different families, 1 couple in Bryce Landing. They're very happy.
Good. It's good to hear.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, sir. Anybody else here tonight like to speak for or on behalf of this rezone? Seeing none, is there anybody that would like to speak in opposition to the rezone? We'll take it, okay. And as usual, Mr. Butler, you do have a last chance if there's anything that you want to add or if there's any comment. Nothing? Okay. All right, well then we'll close that portion. We'll take it consideration for a vote here.
This is for item 2 and 3, right?
Yes, sir. Both parcel 54.5 acres and then the 17.23 acres, correct?
Chairman, I don't know if it's ever done before, but I would like to make a motion that we approve with the condition of minimum 1,600 square foot of heated floor area for 1-story homes and 18 square feet of heated floor area for 2-story homes, and with a 512 roof pitch minimum.
That's in your district, you agree with that?
If you agree, you can say.
Second.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the rezone of both parcels, items number 2 and 3 on our agenda here, from A1 to R1, and to include the provisions for minimum 1,600 single-story, 1,800 or a 2-story, and a 512 roof pitch. No. Do I have a motion and a second? I need to start with Commissioner Pettis.
Yes.
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 All right. Very good then.
I'm next.
You're next, okay.
Yeah, I think I've got it to your packet. It's actually not an amendment, it's a codification. The P&Z has two sections to their bylaws. One was written by the P&Z board, the original board, and part of it was written by the Board of Commissioners at the time. There was an amendment done September the 24th of 2007, and this is just the codification to put it in. This is housekeeping on the book. So I'm asking for approval for codification on the book.
Anybody have any question about that? So we're just looking to actually codify or to put in, to put in an updated, revised state. Any questions at all on that? Or so this is, and for codification, are you looking for just an uptown? I don't know if that requires is there a fee associated? Is there a fee associated with actually having that codified?
A fee?
A fee?
Yes.
No, okay, so it's not like a typical
It's this book here.
ordinance or anything. I got you. So,
It's the original, actually, from 1994, or 93. This was done in 93.
Yeah, you're talking about incorporating it into the big green book code of ordinances, right?
And actually, I'm not sure, Mike, is it in that book?
I don't think it is right now. The building code enforcement procedures are in it, but I don't think the planning commission bylaws are in it for whatever reason. Although I'd have to check to be sure.
Yeah, I just think about looking, because you and I had talked about this and tried to figure it out at some point, because there was a piece here and a piece there, and then come to find out there was an old piece, an old document that was printed on both sides. We were only seeing one side until I found the old document and was able to put it together.
So we do have a complete one?
We have a complete one,
Okay.
yes. Front and back, that has even yellowed. Yeah, so this is just, this is on the Board of Commissioners side of it. As I stated, there's two sections, one that was written by the P&Z board, and then one that's written by the Board of Commissioners.
So they agree with each other,
They're totally two different documents. Mm-hmm.
not on the same subject.
right, just
Right.
trying to bring those together.
Uh-huh.
I didn't think they would agree.
It's just to codify and put the amendment that was done in 2007, so we don't have amendments here and there, kind of like we do with the zoning ordinance that I'm going to be cleaning up pretty soon also. Yeah, so that's what is housekeeping.
Okay. Well then, I don't know why we would oppose that, but I'll put it up to the board for a vote nonetheless, so that you'll have a consensus opinion on that. Is that all right? Does anybody have any, okay. So, make a motion. The motion would be to approve the codification, or actually the combination in this case, of those documents into one source document. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the codification of these documents. I just want to say the word.
Jeremy.
What was that
So I have a motion and a second to codify the planning and zoning documents between the P&Z board and the Board of Commissioners.
Yeah.
All right, any discussion? All right. Commissioner Pell?
Yes.
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 Yeah. Thank y'all.
Very good, okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going home now.
All right. Let's see. There's no old business to discuss tonight. New business, you know what occurs to me? There was not, I think we might have omitted an item from our agenda. No, it's right there, I'm sorry, I was about to omit it myself. We'll entertain statements and remarks from citizens on those items 6 through 10. 6 through 10. if anybody has any comment or anything that they'd like to address regarding those items. Okay, now we'll go on to item number 6, which is to consider seeking sealed bids for road maintenance equipment. And I provided each of the commissioners here with, it's a sample, it's not necessarily a vehicle that we're looking at, but I wanted to give you at least an idea. I've been traveling the roads and working with our road department, and with the rain, with our weather so far this year, you know, many of you will also probably agree, we've got a lot of vegetation, a lot of roads that need to be cut. We currently have a couple of tractors that have bush hogs, and we have one particular piece of equipment that is a tractor that has a what they call a boom mower, or a sidearm, as our folks like to affectionately call it. It is approximately, we paid approximately $140,000 for that one piece of equipment. And I got with Alan, and I asked as far as, and he has provided, and I'll make this available for anybody that would like it. It's just a listing of the equipment we have, and it's listed by, of course, the description, but also the date, the model year, and how many hours it has on it. And I'm just going to share with you, some of these numbers are pretty large. Specifically, though, the request is for some type of purpose-built or dedicated machine that would address being able to cut and keep the roads maintained as far as the vegetation. I will share one last thing and then offer it for consideration, but I'd also ask Alan, our current SPLOST, we're not looking, you can't use LMIG for this. We can't spend our LMIG for the equipment. Our general fund is such right now that I don't think it would be a wise decision to pull roughly that amount of money from the general fund. Coming from a position of being in the negative $500,000 or $600,000, the SPLOST in the road department is currently at a little above $100,000. During this month, if the trend were to continue as it has the past few months, there would be more, the amount of SPLOST actually received would be more than enough to cover the purchase of that. And that would be my recommendation, is that you purchase it from SPLOST if the decision is made to go out for bid on it.
Is the road department SPLOST and the road maintenance SPLOST combined?
It is. It is. It is one. They have discretion for that. That's correct.
Can I ask a question that probably doesn't pertain to this, but I keep getting people ask me what time they park their mowers every day.
And we'll have to get that information from them.
I appreciate doing that, because I don't know.
Yeah.
They parked them about 3:15 today at my house.
What time do they get off? 5?
4.
I
And
just keep getting that question asked, and I thought two coming over here was parked, because I was
and
5:30 coming over here, so.
right. And if if the thought is that they end their day at 5 o'clock, then that would seem awfully early. I agree.
The reason I ask about that being combined is our roads are in terrible condition. We've got roads that need paving, and if we keep buying equipment, using the funds for that, then we're not going to have any funds for the roads. Well, we don't have now, a little over 100,000.
Right. Well, and that's why I did want to highlight the fact that there's grant money out there that we do have coming in that is offsetting it. If you're ever going to do it, I would just maintain that you need the equipment. You're always going to need that equipment to do any work that you do on the roads, and that's why I say it is for your consideration.
Chairman, would you say that a lot of the complaints I get about you never see them on the road is because we only have 3 pieces of equipment trying to do that big of a job?
Well, I mean, the reality is to do what this particular machine would do is we've cut along many roads in our county, with paved in and dirt roads, and what we have now will only reach to a certain height. And what we have now is the overhanging limbs that we have no choice. This is an extra, you know, this is a 24-foot boom on this particular one, and you can get, there are some that go up to 37, well, this one even goes up to 26. There's some that are, I'm just asking for the needs of the road department right now to do the job that they're trying to accomplish. They don't even clear an area before they have to go back and start it again, and that's still not really adequately addressing the the maintenance. It's not just about the appearance. There's a safety issue with that as well, and we need to keep that. All those places are very much overgrown right now. So, but again, I put that out there for your consideration because of the threshold that would require sealed bids, and so we're talking. It would be 3. It could be up to 3 or 4 months before you actually saw that piece of equipment, and I felt like that's another reason that you might want to consider that now.
Or go out to bids, that doesn't mean we'd be actually buying it.
Does not, well, that's the request is just to go out for the bid, you're correct.
There's all kinds of, that's not the only one, there's all kinds of.
Absolutely.
At least what, someone a while ago. I make a motion, we could go out for bid, with the understanding that we may or may not go through with it. I got criticized one time for going out for a bid, though, when we probably wasn't gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
Remodeling the gym over there. I don't expect to be criticized about this anymore.
No, and that's.
I'll second.
No, and that's fair. I mean,
We
like
got
I
the
said,
bid, that don't mean we're gonna buy it.
no.
But
So I have a motion to go out for bid, and I have a second on that. Is there any other discussion on it? Okay, Commissioner.
That's not necessarily on that piece of equipment.
It is not. It is not. I just, like I said, I mean, this is just a purpose-built machine here. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Many of those.
has he checked for a used?
We have. Well, I mean, again, just in looking at the cost and everything, so some of that used would require us to have to go out for bid anyhow, you know.
And used, usually used.
The current piece that we have, just for, clarification too, is, I'm not gonna say it's down for repair a lot, it is used a lot though, and it does drive maintenance right now at a rate that keeps it down, periodically, so. Okay, we have a motion and a second, Commissioner Eastco, just to go out for a bid on that. Your vote.
Oh, it's my vote?
It is, yes, sir.
Okay, I vote yes.
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 Okay.
I usually have to tell them to do it, but that's the first time there, my y'all.
Caught you sleeping.
Okay, the next item on our list is to consider a provision in the beer and wine license application for potential store owners. If you looked at the one that was included in the packet, you'll notice that really there's an effective date that was added or highlighted here, and then there's the addition of a purchaser in addition to the owner. So all we're trying to do with this is currently when a prospective owner looks to buy a business, they must wait. And we're not changing any of the requirements for the requirements of the application. All we're suggesting is that we allow them to at least obtain the application, go through it's a non-refundable application fee if they want to pay that, and start the process and have it available for the effective date that they take ownership. So if nothing would happen before they actually become owners anyhow. So what it does is it might save 2 to 4 weeks of downtime for that new owner. That's the purpose.
Well, I didn't realize until this came in the mail, I guess it came in the mail, apparently, beer and wine license can be owned by managers and not store owners. The managers come and go.
Right. But,
Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, in the, there is, the affidavit's gonna actually state that, they're attesting to being the owner, though.
It doesn't say that here. It says, I hereby certify that effective blank, 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 I will maintain regular mandatory, I can say that word, and supervise the authority over the business conducted on the licensed premises. To me, that means, this is being applied for by a manager.
Right. So the posting on this, though, are given,
Has that been the language so far, checking that's not changes tonight?
Well,
I'm just curious.
I'll have to ask,
Mike needs to weigh in on this.
Mike, and, yeah, I'm just looking for, because I don't have an existing contract in front of me, though, that's
I can get one.
Well, that's okay. I think the highlighted yellow is the only thing that's changing. So to answer Commissioner Allen's question, no, you're not changing that tonight. That's the way it's been.
Right.
And so if you look in the ordinance, and you can see in the application, you have different applicant types. So you have individual, corporation, private club, and restaurant. Well, I'm sorry, private club includes restaurant. So what the ordinance says is that if it's anything other than an individual, then obviously somebody has to act for that corporate or entity, partnership, whatever it is. And that person has to be the one who signs it with that managerial and supervisory responsibility. But the license is owned by the business, not by the person who applies for it. There's also a provision in there that says that no person who owns more than 10% interest in that business can have a criminal conviction, or any 10% plus owner has to meet the same requirements as the manager of the criminal background check.
Because when I read it, I saw a purchaser, and I asked the chairman, was that, like in retail business, you have a purchaser, they're not always the owner. And so I had to clarify if that's what that is, and basically the new owner comes in, and that wouldn't cut down on their time.
But what I'm saying is if the manager has a license, they may be fired 2 days after they get the license.
Well, if it's with the business and not the manager, it wouldn't really matter. I think that's what Mike's trying to say, or what he's saying.
Yeah, and I'd have to look back in the ordinance again, but I think
Or they would take care of that.
I think the ordinance would take care of that as well, because you've got to have somebody in charge who meets the background check requirements. And you also can't have any 10% plus owners who don't meet the background requirements.
And I understand what you're asking, because as I read it, it might have been a better way to say that on that application, but if it's still covered under the ordinance.
Good question.
But the issue here is not in just this, because that's what our current application has on it, just for the record, that's what we're already asking anyhow. So we're not lessening a requirement that has been in place all the time.
No, it just brings up.
Yeah, I agree.
It brings up what we've been doing all the time.
Right, and that may be something that, we can, it's certainly the board's discretion. I would recommend that you can actually do that under 2 separate actions. The purpose of the provision here, though, is just to allow them to proceed while, with the application process. And then what we can do in a separate vein, though, is to actually look to see about the actual terminology of the person applying for it.
And I think it's addressed, if I can jump in section 671C, which says in the event the signer of an approved application, in the event of the signer of an approved application ceasing to meet the requirements of subsection 663G hereof, the license is immediately null and void, and application must be made for a new license hereunder. And 663G is the one that says an application may be denied where it appears the individual signing would not have adequate supervisory participation to direct and manage, or is intended to be a mere surrogate. So that's that's the cross-reference way of saying, if that manager quits, your license is null, you gotta come in and apply for a new license with a new manager.
They don't just jump up and come in and do that.
There's no,
That's an enforcement issue.
Right, it's not really enforced, I guess, is it?
We're gonna enforce a lot of stuff in the county.
Right, so, but it does put the onus on the owner for that, to make sure that that's, you know, if it's the owner that wants to come in and do that, then they can avoid.
But is not the vendor's license also in jeopardy if they're selling to someone that doesn't meet the qualifications?
It is.
So that would be more, that would might be more the check and balance there, that they could actually lose their license, which would be more a loss, a greater loss.
Yeah, and I can't speak to the fidelity of how often that's done either. I mean, that's something that's out of our, you know.
Right.
We certainly don't have the manpower or lady power to run around checking all this stuff
Person power.
on a regular basis.
That's right.
So it's kind of leaving it up to them, to be honest about it. I'm through.
No, it's a good point. I take your point. I'm just trying to figure out if that really changes the purpose for the consideration tonight was just to allow the process to occur before it actually is the effective date.
We're just gonna allow them to start selling before they actually get the
No,
license.
no, to allow them to start the application process.
Before they buy the business.
Heretofore, they have not been able to do that until they were the actual owner.
So they don't have weeks of
But the
downtime.
thing right here is they could be the manager of the store and still come in and get the license. They can manage it until he buys it.
Right, but
Whatever what that says.
yeah, but the effective date, though, would determine when, you know, when they were able to actually start operating under that, under the new license.
Got a mess.
I'm curious how many applications have come through the office for this, that, you know, that haven't actually looked at, the way the wording is. I personally don't, I think we need to revisit that, but I see that as a separate issue from the purpose of what we're trying to do tonight, though. Because nothing, as it stands right now, that could happen. It has nothing to do with allowing the process to take place as they transition the ownership.
I make a motion that we accept the provision of the beer and wine license application for potential store owners.
Second. There's a motion to accept the beer and wine license application for potential store owners, and I have a second. Is there any other discussion? Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
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 No.
Item number 8, consider amending section 46-1 Parks and Recreation and Codes of Ordinances. Each of you should have a copy of the last Recreation Board quarterly meeting, the minutes. Highlight not only item 8 on the agenda, but item 9, but we'll cover them separately. I was approached not just by leadership of the rec department, but by citizens, different folks that were concerned about the current situation is that we do not allow the use of tobacco inside the fenced areas where the activities actually take place, but it is permissible in the parking lot. The Recreation Board, when they met on April 18th, there was a 5-0 vote in favor of changing the verbiage, and you have that listed as well under one of the Amendment 46-1 there. And what it says is it actually has an inclusion when they brought about the prohibition to include e-cigarettes as well, and this was considered as whether it's a health concern, whether it's an annoyance, whether it's an image issue, or trying to encourage the recreation using tobacco products. So, the latter part of that then was for the most part eliminated as it spoke to the provision for allowing smoking or tobacco use in the parking areas. And then the last statement shows that appropriate signs shall be erected by rec department staff designating all areas as tobacco-free zone.
Motion to approve.
And I'll double second that.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve and a second.
That's the other thing on
Whole
county
gates.
over
I didn't know, that's
there. You
correct.
go out that gate over there, you can catch lung cancer just walking out the gate.
And all those kids have to walk right through that.
I picked up enough cigarette butts from 92 to 94 to stay on.
Someone talk to Grady.
Somebody put a flag out here, everybody over there.
Yes.
Oh, Lordy, it'll kill him.
There are a number of occupations that have already gone that route, so I mean, the one size fits all. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Commissioner, was there any further discussion on that?
No, sir.
Commissioner Strickland?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
So was it the second by Strickland or?
I did. I double second.
Okay.
Make sure you get it.
Okay. The next item number 9, again in the minutes, the rec department, they have a request. They're looking to increase the fees. As you can see, it's been since 2010, the fees have been static for rising costs, for the increased coverage, for additional offerings, whether it be they've added a few extra activities to include volleyball, they've got yoga, they've got a number of other things. And so again, just to keep up with some of the cost on that, the user fee is more appropriate than trying to collect more taxes to do that. So they voted 5-0 in favor of raising it. When you see the schedule there, it raises the registration from $35 to $50 per child, or for the first 2 children rather, and a third child they reduce the rates.
I totally disagree with that because there's children that are not being able to play with the sports they want to play because of the fee like it is now. And that is a provision provided by the county taxes, for the children of the county. And it's, I coached down there for 9 or 10 years, and I have actually paid for some children to be able to play because their parents wasn't able to pay. And if we go from 35 to 50, it's going to eliminate several more kids. And that down there is for the kids. It's not for the people running the place or buying mowers or whatever they want to buy. It's for the kids. And I disagree with the increase in the fee.
They go up on them fees and might cut out buying trophies too.
No, they're buy trophies.
That's my understanding.
There's places to reduce cost of running that place down there without having to put it off on the parents and the kids.
Chairman, I believe, I might be totally off base here, but talking to Robin and stuff like that, there are plenty of applications that scholarships, things like that, and maybe the problem is we haven't got the information out to those people to know that there is help for those kids that can't do that. If you look at inflation and the way we're giving them better uniforms and things like that, you know, the inflation is about $52, so you know they're a little bit under inflation. Haven't had an increase in a decade. I think I was paying $35. You know, and multiple kids, it seems like, you know, third child's $25 and the additional child's $15, so that would help the kids, people with a lot of kids. But you know, we really need to make sure these kids know the scholarships and the help that's there from the taxpayer to help those kids in need.
How many scholarships for loan?
I don't know, that's you know what we need to make sure, you know, but Robin has told me several times, if there's a kid in need, they will figure out a way to help them. And you know,
there's been several. And besides the fee they have to pay, when the team is formed, They also have to pay for their shirts and their caps, and
Pants.
that's not the end of the cost for the parents and
Isn't
the
that Little
kids.
League though?
That's,
totally
yeah,
separate.
that's Little League. We have nothing to do with Little League.
Oh, well,
But
but still,
it's
it's a cost for them.
Just have a conversation. Because I just don't want people to think that there's no.
The current
there's
fee
no
for rec department activities does include the jersey and everything too.
Right. Yeah, you know, 'cause baseball, they pay for the jersey and stuff like that, but Little League is a little different.
When would the fee be applicable?
As far, when the vote takes place. it would be-
No, I mean, when does this child, when you're saying they don't, when it's Little League, we don't pay that fee? So that fee goes to Little League, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about that,
Separate
I don't know, but I know, but.
Little League's a
It's
separate
entity.
They just use.
But just like the stuff that.
Yeah, I know, but who does, like, when you pay to play baseball, who does that go to? Does that go to the rec department?
Little League.
$35 of it goes to the rec department, the rest of it goes to.
Unless it's pitching machine, you know, unless,
Yeah, but
I know T-ball.
Little League or.
I'm asking out of ignorance.
When the recreation department was established, and Mr. Bond was a big part of that, it was established for Little League baseball. And now Little League baseball has been pushed aside. They're on their own now. They have to finance their own deal. And it's for volleyball and soccer and all this other stuff. They come first, and then Little League baseball.
Is that, do you think that's?
But it was established for Little League baseball.
They
It was
was after the Little
So
League.
many folks are doing this, travel ball now and all, and I hate to see them leaving our rec department.
Well,
We need to focus on what's on and right.
the way things are down there is one reason they're leaving,
time at a
to
time.
go to travel ball.
Yeah, you got people playing other sports too, you know. When golf wasn't as big as when I was coming up, but it's huge now. Basketball's big, we're talking about building a $2.5 million gym. Or trying to, you know, obviously basketball's moving on up, you know, if we're not a baseball county, that's just how it happens. But that, like I said, just one line, 2 cents.
I believe the Thorpe's fee is $75.
It is.
I bet you the high school baseball team would argue with about not being a baseball county.
I'm sure that's kind of high.
I would think charges when you go to a basketball game, that you have to pay, you have to buy a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you know, we're talking about,
Or can it be 75?
75. Mm-hmm.
We're the lowest, I could
But
find.
those flat trophies out of that too.
John, is
With
there
the
a chance
highest
that we
millage
could table
rate,
this
by the
until we get all the facts and figures down, you know?
I'm certainly, like I said, it's your vote if you want to, tell me what information you want. That was one of the fees associated with the registration. There are several more listed there that talk about the, you know, rental of the pavilion, summer camp, and then the breakdown of what the county receives for the contract labor. They charge, to your question, you know, they charge a certain amount. And, so there, for all those considerations, that's what this vote is about. So if you want, if the vote or if it's your desire to postpone this, we can certainly do
Don't
it.
y'all think we could better make a decision if we had a little time to think about it?
I think so.
If you guys think you need more information, I'm all for that. If you're not ready to vote on this, I don't want you guys to
That's
be
pretty,
hasty.
it's pretty
You know what I'm
important.
saying? It is.
Yeah.
And the increase not gonna happen fall of the year anyway.
Sure, it'll start with the next
Yeah.
season, so, I'll say, whatever, like I said, that's.
The summer day camp, though, I'm sure they're taking registration. I tell you what, that's a steal. I've run summer camp, actually, I will take credit for starting that summer day camp a long time ago, but that's an absolute steal.
Teresa, you worked in the rec department, you've got a background in this stuff. Tell us what you think.
Don't put that on me, man. You just said we were gonna get the
Well, that's good, I'm not gonna we'll table this issue until we get all the information.
Okay, but I'm saying, I think we need to be cognizant of, because summer day camp is coming up. But I guess we have to do it all as one, is that correct? As one fee?
I view that differently.
No.
Summer day camp.
No, I mean, it's your vote if you want to actually parcel that out. If that's a concern and you want that to
Yeah.
continue it uninterrupted,
Yeah, I would think we would need
whatever
to
motion you
vote
want to make for that.
What are they asking to up it to?
from 65 to 75. You know, if it comes out to,
Okay.
they stay the whole time, the equivalent of one.
Can I amend my motion? I'd like to make a motion that we table everything but summer day camp and that we allow it to be raised to $75.
And I can see that too, because they have a choice there whether, you know, they.
Second.
Where they go, stay
Yeah.
them or they go.
Yeah.
True. And like I said, we'll try to get whatever information we can on the others. This was presented to us for consideration, that's all, to you. So the motion, we have an amended motion to, postpone until, our next meeting, is that?
Sure.
That's and that, try not to slow it down too much, but, and I have a second on that, and the motion was to postpone everything except for the day camp provision to, increase from $65 to $75 a week. Right, any further discussion on that?
Doing it, the video's a steal too.
With that, Commissioner Bettis?
Yes.
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 All right. And the last item, as far as our agenda items, is number 10, consider amending, this was I mentioned previously, consider amending section 2-29 of administration and code of ordinances, and each of you should have the excerpt on that, from our code, that talks of the, specifically in this case, it was the inclusion of the county clerk for the purposes of recording minutes for that meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'm definitely against that. I think it should be the 5 members of the board, you and the county attorney, but that's just my opinion on it. Mike takes good minutes.
Is this kind of a recommendation from you too as well?
It is. The reason it's on the agenda is as a matter of, and this is the way I approach it, as a matter of efficiency. Almost all executive session, the purpose, which there aren't that many, but for all the times that executive session would be held, generally speaking, you're looking, I believe you're looking to the attorney for advice and for guidance as it pertains to litigation. And it was my thought, and it is my thought, that I would like to have his undivided attention and not have him record anything. I'd like for him to be able to provide the service that we ask him to do in there. And as a simple matter of recording minutes, the county clerk, if included, would be bound by the same requirement that any other person in there is, as far as confidentiality, and that doesn't, you know.
Well, we've been doing this since I've been on the board, and I can see where it's been a great burden on Mike, keeping what little minutes are. And I just think we...
Do you mind doing the minutes, Mike?
It's a burden on Mike.
Probably been at 9 in it.
I make a motion to approve, amending the section 229 of the administrative code of ordinance.
I'll second that, Chairman.
All right, so there's a second, all right, yeah, motion to include, the only added verbiage to that section would be on the county clerk. And I have a second, Commissioner Howell. And your time, I'm in discussion.
I see Jackie sitting over there tonight. If we had an executive session night and this room was in force, she's not county clerk, she's probably deputy clerk.
She's, yeah, deputy.
There's no telling who might be sitting over in that chair. I mean,
well, the county has at any moment in time, if there's a citizen that has pertinent information that you wanted to include in an executive session, there's nothing that says that you can't invite them in for the purpose of that information.
but they have to leave once they give that information.
Right. So,
They can't be there for the whole meeting.
right. So I guess what I'm saying is and I don't want to tie it to an individual, a person. I want to just say it's that position.
Well, you're down to county clerk.
Okay, but then we can change that, say / deputy clerk. I mean,
Whoever's available.
That's,
Might work, but whoever's available that night. I mean,
What is it? If the wasn't there, we might just take a minute.
Yeah, that's what
I think this is just.
and it has to be done right, or it don't work at all.
I think it needs to be the 5 board members, county attorney, and the chairman. That's the executive session. Not to include whoever you want to stick on there.
I don't want it to be that either. I don't want it to be just whoever.
It just says the county clerk. If the county clerk is absent, then
Your absence in my report.
Yeah, the attorney.
Okay, and that would be the fix on that, you know, if that's the choice.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around why not. You know, I don't understand why not. That's what I'm just trying, and I'm just trying to see it from your point of view, in our discussion here. You know, I don't think there's any question in Ms. Williams' integrity. I know she's screaming.
The question Ron's integrity.
Well, that's, I just don't know why. That's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for, you know, why other than.
How more minutes than it takes, you okay to take a minute?
Nothing personal against anybody.
No, nothing
The executive session is 5 board members, a chairman, and a county attorney. That's executive session.
Well,
Not to include anybody else you want to stick on the list.
Mike, can you clarify that a little bit? Because there are plenty of counties that the clerk is in there for that purpose.
I have been to other counties' executive sessions where the clerk was there taking minutes. I'm sure there's others where it's done this way.
I think the law really meant for it just to be.
Morris used to go in all y'all's executive sessions while I got up in this chair too, didn't he? Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
We can still.
Mike, do you mind taking minutes in the, what little time we'll?
I don't mind doing anything that 3 board members vote for.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So we have a motion to include that, and I have a second. Is there any other discussion on this?
Did we amend the motion to?
I believe, we did not.
I would just keep it, I want to keep it like it is, the county clerk. If the county clerk's absent, then the attorney will take it. Just take.
So if the county clerk's absent, then it'd go back like it's supposed to be, right?
That would still, it would go back as it is now.
2017, come on, let's go.
Any other discussion?
That's bad, that's bad.
Okay. First up, Commissioner Pepple.
No.
No.
Yes.
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 Okay, moving on, item 11, roads updates.
Chairman, we got a lot of speaking of past things, we've got a lot of private roads that have been taken care of that shouldn't have, and I'm getting phone calls, not just from my district, from other districts, about private roads been maintained. I tell them we can't because they're a private road. I just want to let the board know that we're going to have to address this at some point, and see if we can't come up with a way to figure that out, because, you know, we can't continue to take care of private roads that legally we're not supposed to maintain.
Especially when we're not taking care of other private roads, and I know that's been an issue. I will share with you that some roads have been maintained, and I guess to speak correctly, you'd say they were maintained in error.
Correct.
The road department, a lot of the road crews, they go out and they don't necessarily have a book that has every road. So as their progression, as they move from one section of the county to another, as they are grading and doing the ditches and things like that, they have in the past, apparently they've been maintaining roads that weren't under county maintenance. And that's what has prompted some of the calls. And the calls have not been, they're just wondering why we're not doing those roads right now. And I look, they're not county maintained roads. And again, the policy is that they will only maintain those that are under county maintenance.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Last year, we had 2 or 3 meetings where we discussed private roads. Rhonda can furnish the board with a list of requirements for the private roads, what's necessary to be done before it could be a county road.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to ask Rhonda to furnish her a.
Yeah, they've done that, but, you know, it's just, you know, the people who matter the most, they're confused.
No, you're right, and I think that was referred to as the criteria that was agreed upon, and we have made that actually available to several people that have asked.
That's all I have.
Any other update on those? Statements and remarks from citizens. If there's anybody that would like to make a statement or remark. Any need for executive?
No, sir.
All right. On that note, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
I'd like to ask a question of the county attorney. When a commissioner puts something on the agenda, who has the authority to 2 or 3 days later to take it off the agenda?
Do we have an agenda setting procedure in our general policy?
I don't know. I came prepared tonight to ask some questions to the building inspection department, and this, what I was going to talk about is not even on the agenda.
But I did share with you during the week that that was removed from the
No,
agenda.
I don't recall that.
I certainly did.
Not with me, you did. You might have with somebody else, but not with me. I know I discussed another matter where Eddie had a problem over there, but I don't remember discussing it being removed from the agenda. And why would it be removed from the agenda when a commissioner asked to have it on the agenda?
Well, it's the, and again, we'll look for reference here, but it's the chairman's prerogative in setting the agenda.
And section 2-2, the chairman of the board of commissioners will set the agenda for all meetings. Suggested agenda items must be submitted to the chair or the county clerk 12 p.m. Monday of the week immediately preceding. Chair will accept all agenda requests timely submitted by an elected commissioner.
So couldn't it be decided when if a commissioner asked for something to be on the agenda, couldn't it be decided that night and not wait till 2 or 3 days later and find out that it's not on the agenda?
Well, again, I would maintain that you and I spoke about that, and I did share with you.
I don't know that.
But the only reason I found out about it was, I saw the paper, saw it wasn't in the paper. I looked through my emails, and it wasn't there, and I called you, you never called me, I called you, and we talked about it, but
True, and
when I
because
left you the last meeting, it was my understanding it was gonna be on the agenda. The consensus of this board said, let's do that, and get it out, and find out about it.
and I did, there was 100% contact regardless, that my position is there's 100% contact, and all 4 board members, all 5 board members, that I made aware, or even though you might have initiated that conversation. And,
By the time that conversation got initiated, it was way too late to put it on the agenda then.
right,
I had read it in the paper that it wasn't on the agenda.
if you go back also and look, at read the minutes or go back, and it won't be in the minutes because it was a detail, but you can certainly follow the video. You'll see in the video where I did agree that we would put that on the agenda. But if there's a comment, then please do follow, hold me to it, go back and look. Or I said, unless something transpires between now and then.
We're gonna split some hairs now, huh?
Well, if something did transpire.
Let me tell you something, John.
Mm-hmm.
You run this complex over here on a day-to-day basis. This is our paper here. These 5 commissioners, well, 3 of the commissioners have this paper here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand that?
I understand that, Commissioner.
Something else too, I'm the commissioner in District 4, and Highway 172 is in my district.
That's right.
And I've been kept in the dark about just 90% of what's happening over there. I can ask questions to the building and department, inspection department. And then, well, I don't know, we're leaving it up to the county attorney. But I find out from somebody else some other thing that's happening. And what's happened over there is totally wrong for all those neighbors over there. It's a bad situation, and I've been in the dark on most of it.
Well, I certainly haven't, there's been no, if the implication is that I've done something or I've kept something from you, that's absolutely not the
Let
truth.
me ask Mike something. When he said a while ago, he has full authority to put something on the agenda and not put it on there, is that what he said?
Set the agenda.
Is that what he said?
Well, it says what I just read. I'll read it again.
I'm wondering what we're here for.
That's what I say.
Well,
We just got one commissioner.
This is our room here. You cover the whole dump site, road department, all that on a daily basis. But this is our room right here.
And Commissioner Easter, let me share this with you too, then. All the departments, as you mentioned, day to day, they fall under the chairman, the different departments within the county. The permitting and the process that is at issue here is an administrative function. There's no consideration by the board of commissioners when we issue permits. It should be spelled out in our county ordinances and our procedures. The first time that we became aware of anything going on at that property, our building inspector went out. The very first opportunity. I was not in place when the permit was issued. Given all the information and letting everything play out, ultimately I went to the attorney for a legal determination on the nature of the proposed, the now intended business, and issued a letter to the petitioner that his intended use was not compatible with the current zoning. That's where that stands, and that letter got mailed today.
And it wasn't necessary that you inform us what was going on?
It is, and to my point, though, what I wanted to do was to make sure that you understood, and I have, those that I've seen today before, that letter I don't even think got mailed out today. It was, I signed it today. And,
well, so if we've been informed about that, this harsh discussion we're having right now probably wouldn't take place.
well, but I want you to know the nature of what I did, though, and in trying to keep the people informed, I did notify both sides in this, that had been issued, and I did try to relay to those that I have seen and talked to.
Let's get back to this, you got the computer. If I make a statement, put something on the agenda, it's full of him before it ever gets on the agenda. Now, is that what y'all saying?
Now, it's timely submitted as a request from a commissioner.
So if it's submitted this meeting, isn't that timely enough? For the next meeting is 3 weeks away. It was 2 weeks away from, I asked to have it on this week's. What do you consider timely? Before it goes to,
no, you're right, I'll accept the responsibility for that.
No, I want to know,
Yeah.
if I ask for something to go on this agenda or anybody else at this table, is it up to him as to whether or not it gets on the agenda or not? Am I just sitting there wasting my time?
I don't really want to be drawn into a fight between the commissioner and the chairman. I'll read this a third time if you want me to.
Well, you can make a ruling on something like that.
I don't rule on anything, I advise. The
Well,
chairman of the Board of Commissioners will set the agenda for all the meetings. Suggested agenda items must be submitted to the chair or the county clerk by 12 p.m. Monday of the week immediately preceding the next scheduled agenda-setting meeting. The chair will accept all agenda requests timely submitted by an elected commissioner. The chair will consider and may accept agenda requests timely submitted by other elected and appointed officials and by county department heads.
But it does say he will accept timely.
And I stand, like I said, I stand responsible for that. I didn't do that. And here's what I tell you though, is just moving forward, I would hear that. I don't have any problem with that. The real reason, and the only reason that I felt that, first of all, the issue had been resolved, and you're right, if I didn't get that word to you, then that's my omission, but appreciate that it happened today. And secondly, this is your meeting. I don't pretend that anytime we bring in an employee after hours or whatever, I said, we're there on the payroll, we're paying them. If it is an item for your consideration for determination, then I absolutely want it in front of you. I just felt like that it was an administrative action in this case, and that's the reason I did that.
Well, I'm going to inform you, I'm at a certain location at a certain phone number, 8 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 4 days a week,
Right.
8 o'clock to 12 o'clock, 1 day a week, and my cell phone stays on 24/7.
Can I ask how that was resolved, since it's in my district?
And I can provide you the letter I sent to Mr. Smith. And it was determined, as I said, we cited, and the county attorney actually provided the code, the sections that were pertinent to the determination. And it was denied based on the zoning of the property.
What was denied?
The intended use of his equipment. After he made it known, and we determined, he finally said, here's what I'm gonna do with it. I asked for a determination on exactly what the code says that we can and cannot do. I didn't want to, I'll be honest with you, and I'm being very fair and very honest with all of you right now. I didn't have a determination. I wanted it to be whatever the law and the code said it should be. And that way, that's something I don't have to change. It's a precedent. If we don't do it that way, then I've got to this board will have to deal with subsequent issues that come up that way. And I just wanted it to be something that, if at some point in the future, we find ourselves, in any type of litigation, whether it's this case or any other case, if there was a legal determination that needed to be made, I wanted to know that before I actually did.
So he asked for a permit for a hay barn.
That is true.
And that's what it's going to have to be used as, a hay barn, and not
storage.
Commercial fertilizer.
You're right. No, exactly. And I provided information from Hart County and Franklin County that have both determined that near identical business to be an industrial operation or commercial operation.
Okay, what's going to be done about all the grading that he did and caused runoff onto the adjoining property? Is he going to be made to build a retention pond, or what's going to?
Well, and now we're back into what, the county didn't do that. That's what I'm saying. The county did not do that, much like the county, a pothole causes damage to a vehicle or whatever. The county.
I know, but it was done because he permitted for one thing and did another. If it was a hay barn, he wouldn't have done all the grading.
And I would just tell you, and I've already talked with the Justins and everything. I would suggest, if that were me, if that were you, it would probably be on us. That is their recourse to seek damages from the other individual.
If I could add one, kept in the loop on stuff going on.
The updated agenda was sent out May 2nd. It doesn't have it on it. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
It's not on it, yeah.
It's not on. Well, then call and ask or something.
P&Z board has hours as well. I work over there and get information all the time.
But I don't know what we got it, so we go do it running.
Just like it's meant.
Just to define the board's role where you come in this process, if there's an issue about an owner conducting a use that's not permitted on his or her property, that the zoning administrator deals with it first. That can be appealed by the aggrieved owner to the P&Z board, and then it can be appealed to the P&Z board. So if it had been put on the agenda, it would have been premature, because you would hear it 2 steps down the process if the owner of that property wanted to take it that far.
My fault for not communicating well. I'll take that.
Maybe I should come over here today and set an hour or two.
Well, it was on the amended agenda on May 2nd. That we received it May 2nd.
It never was on the original agenda.
Okay, then ask.
Well, I think that's where, yeah.
Ask prior to or something.
So we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Is there anything else? We'll let everybody know.
Motion adjourned.
Yes, and a second. Commissioner Disco?
I'm ready.
Yes.
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 Yes.